She was feisty, competitive, a leader, had a smile that would light up a room. One of those athletes that coaches never forget. Her name is Katherine Wilcher. This is her story. Katherine entered the high school ranks as an energetic and motivated runner. She emerged as a solid contributor and a dependable leader. Her sophomore season ended in disappointment as the team finished a surprising 5th place at the regional meet. She finished the race in the ambulance with a total mental and physical meltdown. As I held her, she sobbed uncontrollably, continually asking for forgiveness for what she claimed letting the team down. Her junior season was a roller coaster of ups and downs. She found herself out of the top 7 by season's end as the team had vaulted into the top 5 in the state. She finished the season as the alternate and watched her teammates finish 5th at the state meet. As we boarded the bus, she turned to me and said,
"I just want to run here one time. Just one time." It was time to prepare for senior year, and when everything started spiraling downhill, just like before, it was hard to keep my head up. I was constantly disappointed, but as a captain, I needed to remain positive and supportive of my teammates. That was one of the most difficult parts. As I watched everyone else succeed, I was left behind struggling. I thought that maybe I was just burnt out from all the miles over the past 5 years. I had always ran at high mileage, but why was everyone else handling it so well, yet I was sucking? I thought, maybe I'm mentally weak. Maybe I can't handle the pressure. Maybe I don't care anymore. Every day was a struggle. I couldn't keep up in practice. I couldn't finish workouts. My confidence was completely shot. I would show up with whatever hope and determination I had left, and would leave feeling discouraged and disappointed in myself. Eventually, that hope and determination slowly dwindled away. I wanted to quit. Cross country was my passion, and I'm definitely not a quitter, but I was tired of the frustration, tired of the disappointment, tired of the pressure and the nerves. I was exhausted and depleted, mentally, physically, and emotionally. What was wrong with me? People told me that my predetermined mentality was setting me up for failure. I let my negative thoughts take over my races. It was all in my head.
Sensing her struggles, I chose not to run her the first week of the season and scheduled her to debut at the Greenville Invitational. On a typical hot Labor Day weekend, Katherine imploded during the race, which began a 4-week trek towards the destruction of self-confidence.
Before I even started races, I felt defeated. I reminded myself that it was all my mentality and that I was just psyching myself out. But no matter how hard I pushed myself, my legs were bricks. What was happening? Why can't I move? As I passed coaches, teammates, and parents, they all shouted words of encouragement, yet I could sense their pity, and I hated that. Every second was an internal battle. Should I stop or push myself to the finish? I had dropped out of races the previous year, and that was the worst feeling of pure disappointment and embarrassment I have ever experienced. So I finished the race, and even with persevering through the pain, I still felt just as pathetic. I was mortified with my performance. 4 minutes behind my normal times. How did this happen? After my initial meltdown, part of me actually didn't care, which was not normal for me at all. I tend to beat myself up after every race. But despite the embarrassment, I was almost indifferent after this one. My passion was gone.
Time was running out for her, and the dream of running at the state meet seemed nothing short of an aberration. I urged her to have her iron levels checked. Sure enough, the numbers cast a light into Catherine's heart, as her iron levels had been rock bottom for months.
This explained everything. No wonder why I felt so fatigued. It wasn't my mentality, it wasn't my lack of motivation, and most importantly, it wasn't because I couldn't handle it. I thought I was mentally weak, but now I knew, and I was relieved. It took 2 weeks for me to feel an improvement. Every day I felt a little stronger. I ran faster and farther, and I was hungry again. I was determined to turn my season around, but time was not in my favor.
Was there enough time for a runner who had been running in the 24-minute range to crack the varsity lineup of a team that had been ranked for the top 10 in the state? I feel ill admitting this, but I did not believe she had enough time or strength left to achieve such an ambitious goal. She showed signs at the county meet, clocking in at 22:01. 2 weeks later, she ran a 21:50 at the conference meet. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to warrant a roster spot for the postseason team. As we pulled into the parking lot on the bus ride home, Katherine exited the bus and came up to me. "Coach, can I keep running with the team even though I'm not in the top 8?
By the week of regionals, I was running exponentially faster in practice. We planned to run a mile time trial. I saw this as the true test of how good of shape I was in, without any other factors holding me back. We ran the first 800 reserved, and I felt great, but I was waiting for the fatigue to set in. As Coach Kimmel pushed the pace the second half mile, I was surprised by how well I was keeping up with the pack. I had never felt this strong in my life. My mind was blank, and my body took over. The only thing I focused on was staying next to Coach. As I rounded the corner of the final 200, Coach Salyer shouted to me, and we took off. I ran a 15-second mile PR. Afterwards, I was overcome with shock and elation. I will never forget my coaches' and teammates' excitement for me. I have never felt as proud after a race as I did this one.
I had one of the most difficult decisions to make as a coach, but I knew in my heart that something special was about to happen. The next day, I put her on the varsity roster for regionals. She ran awesome, and the girls qualified for the state meet.
The first cross-country race I ever saw was my cousin's state meet. For some reason, after witnessing girls pass out and crawl into the finish, I was inspired to run. I longed to compete at state one day. Throughout the weekend at state, I kept myself distracted. I didn't want to get psyched out and bomb my last chance at finally beating my PR. I remember telling Coach Kimmel that I was terrified to run.
"You made it here. This is it. There's no pressure. Run your best, and you are going to PR."
I remembered past disappointments, past accomplishments, and everything in between. I remembered the wood we chopped and buried, and the barriers we aimed to overcome. Words of encouragement from my friends, family, coaches, and teammates flowed through my head. I was determined to make every single one of them proud. The last 600 of my cross-country career, and I was going to make it count. I heard a coach yell out the time, I was 2 minutes ahead of my PR. That's when I knew I was going to accomplish my goal of 3 years. Finally. I put my built-up emotion and energy from all the frustration I went through into this final stretch. As I ran into the stadium, I was energized by the roaring crowd. My only focus was on the finish line. This is it. Don't leave anything behind, Catherine. I looked at the clock, and as I crossed, I realized that I beat my PR by 33 seconds. All the aggravation, all the disappointment, and all the defeat was finally lifted. My perseverance and determination paid off with the support of my friends, family, coaches, and teammates. Now I look back, and I don't regret a single thing. Don't ever give up. Ever.